Renat Heuberger, CEO of South Pole, coming in and sit here.
Hello, Kai.
Hello. And you can hear what we were talking about. And how many days have you been here in Paris now?
I've arrived 4 days ago now, and it feels like 4 weeks already.
And what's your impression about what's going on?
Well, there is this moment circulating here that over there in the negotiation rooms, they're sharing the burden, while we here, in the business communities and among mayors and cities, we are sharing the opportunity. And I think there's some truth in that. And sometimes it's difficult for me to understand why we have this big gap. Why is the mood, so depressed at times in the negotiations? While here, whoever you talk to has something new to share, a new technology, new innovation, a new finance, a new fund. And it looks like solving climate change is absolutely doable. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, what's the question?
What's the question?
Or maybe we're coming back to the issue of leadership, maybe also the political leadership. If you need to work with all this type of complexity, you need a really important leadership in that model.
Yes.
And it's humans' behaviors, and I think that maybe will be one of the challenges we have to look at, and how the political leadership have to be sort of in place.
Very true.
But you also have been acting in many of the seminars regarding financing.
That's right.
And I think that South Pole has been involved in some of the projects which has been presented here in some of the seminar. So can you give a view of what the role of South Pole is here in Paris?
So our company, the South Pole Group, understands ourselves pretty much as a sustainability company. And our aim, why are we existing? We pioneer and bring to market all kind of products and services to the corporate world, also the public, which is essentially using market powers to solve climate change. So in simple words, we want to prove that you can actually make money by solving climate change. And just to give you one example, since you mentioned finance, that was indeed a big topic here. And I don't know if you're already aware of what revolution happened over the past year only. Over the past decade, I would say, we have done a lot of carbon footprinting of companies. We have provided offsets to go carbon neutral. And during all this time, one thing we forgot, everybody forgot, was that your impact you're having on the climate, 50% of your impact happens through your investments. So like, what? Me? Yes, you. Your pension funds, your membership in a church, your membership in an alumni fund. So it's a lot of money, which is a lot of climate impact. And we started to monitor that impact of investments.
Yeah.
And over the past year, there was an explosion of activity, and all kind of pension funds, endowment funds, and so on are now looking at climate risks in their investments. And over the past year alone, our company, we have screened over $1 trillion in assets. And I think that's unheard of. So big movement.
So how could you find way to transform and transfer this money into the right place?
That's of course that's a very obvious next question. Because as soon as you have the data and you know what your portfolio looks like, the next question is, of course, what can I do? And it's a lot of things you can do actually. Let's not forget, pension funds have their investment strategies. So the first and most obvious thing is, even inside your current investment strategy, is to move your portfolios towards low carbon. So you replace inside the same sector a company which has a lot of emissions with a company which has lower emissions. So you start preferring those stocks. So that's the easy one. One thing that is then more going into the city topics, which I find that would have been a second example where there's a lot of action going on. For those pension funds or other investors who are more innovative, We now see more and more products such as green bonds, for example, on city level, which provide very attractive alternative investment opportunities for bonds seeking returns and positive impact.
Interesting. What have you? I heard that we have been sort of discussed on the local level, that you set up labs on city level.
Yeah.
To get the actors together to find the solution. Are you involved in a lot of work on the city level?
We are indeed. We are involved in a European Union-based program called the Low Carbon City Lab. This is essentially hosted by the Climate Kick. The Climate Kick is Europe's biggest public-private partnership for climate innovation. So it's a big thing. It's a European Union thing. One of the biggest projects of the Kick is actually this Local. And what is Local about? Local understands that in many cities, a lot of very good things are going on. And I'm talking here also especially about the Nordic cities. We have had events in the past few days where we saw an amazing range of very positive examples where Nordic cities have really led the crowds on climate action. And what is Local doing? Local is a platform for transferring, for first of all benchmarking and then transferring such best practice examples to other cities. And I'm not only talking about the north-south transfer. It can also be a south-north transfer of innovative ideas. So one of the key pillars of Local is to see what happens in cities in terms of best practice and how can we copy good examples. A second, if you allow, important pillar of Local is finance. The problem of many cities, and here I'm not talking about Nordic cities with AAA balance sheets. I'm talking about cities like Lima, Peru, or something, or a city in Africa. These cities have difficulties to access finance because they're not creditworthy. So one other aspect of Local is to assist such cities in getting ready for issuing green bonds, for accepting for being ready for finance, in order to ensure that they can participate in the markets to boost their low carbon infrastructure.
So what is a politician's role in this? Because I can see that you need to break a lot of traditional roles of borders and to bring the right people to the table.
Yeah.
Is it the needs of a stronger political leadership role here?
Absolutely. And coming back to the very first point, why is there this divide between business and cities? See the solution, while on country level, it's such a thing about this burden sharing. I think one of the key reasons is that let's face it, today's world is so complicated that these guys over there, they're not only talking about climate change, there's all kind of other issues interfering. For example, two countries happen to be at war, others have a dispute at the WTO, others have an issue around the agricultural subsidies and the fair and the trade agreements. So all kind of global issues that are interfering somehow in the climate debate. It's very difficult for people to take leadership in that sense. And let's keep in mind, the UN system does only do decisions by unanimous agreement. So if one single country backs out, the deal is gone. Now how can you be a leader if you need 192 other leaders to have the same opinion like you? Very difficult. So this political process is very important. But what I like to say here is that working with cities, with mayors who have maybe a smaller radius of action, but inside this radius, they actually are pretty fast, pretty efficient.
Yeah. And they
I
don't
would say
make
that's a solution only, but that's a very attractive part of the solution.
And cities doesn't make more.
And cities hardly ever go at war these days. That's true. I hope so.
Mayors like to collaborate and find solutions. Yeah. So Renat, we're going to see if we have some of our friends here coming into the studio, our little studio here in the Nordic Pavilion in Paris. And let's say we can sort of maybe meet again to follow up these issues and the success of the work you're doing. But thank you for today, and then we will see how. I think I have some of our other networking partners here who are trying to get in involvement of this consumer's role and also the individual responsibility. I think Joni Koronen is here, and I think he also has some message around his work with the climate pledge. So thank you very much for this talk, and then we should change.
Thanks, Kaj, for having me here at your beautiful Nordic booth. Thank you.
Thanks very much.